let's make a big distinction between capital G green and small g green. For years, this environment that exists in Australia has been the product generally of careful husbandry by those who farm and work the land. What we have here has been cared for by generations of Australians who've been in the primary sector. These people are practical conservationists. You know, the land care groups, the volunteer groups that spend every week out there planting trees, removing weeds, reducing pest species, whether they be plant or animal. And yet on the other hand, we have this party that professes to be all about conservation, the capital G Greens. The trouble with the Greens is that, like so many small parties, and it's something that indeed Country Alliance has to be very aware of, is that their agenda has been hijacked. It's not really about cuddling trees and sound conservation decisions. Yes, they do come up with policies in that area. But as I think most Australians have seen, it's very much about social re-engineering. Their economic policies look more like Britain under Harold Wilson. This is the problem with the Greens. Over the years, what started out as a sensible conservation movement has turned into a party whose agenda has been hijacked by extremists, be they from the animal rights area, be they from the extreme end of the conservation movement. And as a consequence, the policies, or many of the policies that they espouse and that they pursue, and obviously at a federal level that they have had a capacity to influence, work against the majority of practical Australians. We've seen this growth in marine parks, and yet we've seen minimal scientific proof to suggest that there is a basis for marine parks or that they are indeed being effective. We've seen the absurd decision, aided by Labor, by Minister Burke, to ban cattle from the high country. There's a certain nonsense about removing cattle from Victoria's alpine grazing areas to protect an environment that is itself the product of 100 years of alpine grazing. I mean, this is the sort of thing that, unfortunately, the Greens and so many of these urban-based parties get away with purely and simply because so few Australians are directly connected to rural and regional Australia anymore.